Hello, guys. Welcome to another Rising Kings Mastermind. We've been doing this every week for a while now. It's been a long, long time of us getting together every week and having this mastermind. So they're really, really powerful. Last week, we went over trophy case, we shared some wins, some blessings, and that was a really powerful conversation. And today, we really want to talk about the role of masculinity, the future of masculinity in the world. Things are shifting. Women have jobs now. Men are doing different things. So I'm just really interested to see what you guys see for how men can show up in today's day and age and how we can navigate how, the world works now. And your different perspectives is something that I'm really curious about. Um, Personally, I was raised by women. I was raised by a single mother, two sisters, and a grandma. So I love women. I really do. I love women. I think women are amazing, and I've also noticed how the roles in society have shifted a lot with men. There's a lot more women in business. There's a lot more women in leadership. There's a lot more women who are, get paid for everything in the home. And I live in the Dominican Republic, and it's been a pretty interesting shift for me to move here because living in the States, women are, for a lack of better words, we're gonna get spicy from the get-go. They're pretty masculine. They're pretty masculine. That it's pretty typical to see. Whereas here, like anytime that I go to a family gathering or I hang out with women all together, women, they typically cook the meal. They'll like they clean up your plate when you're done. They'll serve you a plate. They do all those things. Um, but they still do have jobs. They still do all those things. And I'm just curious to see what are you guys thoughts on that and how we can navigate this. Because personally, I do love that women are in the workforce. I do love that women are um, never. I see Sean said American women. Woman comes to mind from Lenny Kravitz. Sounds like a song. I might be too brown for that one, or just too young. I don't know. But yeah, like it's something that I'm really curious about as we evolve as a species and how we continue to navigate this because I do think women, um, you know, do have a place in the workforce and they do have a place in leadership. Um, but I do also I'm a big believer in having strong men who allow women to be soft and to show up and be feminine and kind of turn their brains off when we're around. So I'm curious to see what are you guys' thoughts for the future of masculinity? How can men show up in today's day and age without disrespecting someone?
Something that I've been tapping into. And Lenny Kravitz, if you heard the song, you would know it. Um, anybody listening, yeah, that's a funny song because like American women will listen to it, but he's actually like bashing them in the song. But yeah, getting into a lot of things, man. I could go. I'm a pretty deep person, man. I could go down a lot of rabbit holes as far as just the way that masculinity is kind of hijacked. It's pretty much hijacked, with the military industrial complex, guys that want to be manly and do manly things, they end up serving and doing things that are not really in our best interests. That's my personal opinion. I don't believe in killing other people. That's just me. If you have a different
Soft,
opinion,
bro. You
let
soft,
them
bro. You
know.
gotta do it. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Man, yeah, it's definitely I think things are changing so fast as you guys know, and the role that us as men are going to have, man, it seems like masculinity might be taking a back seat, or it's really going to play front and center, and things are going to change in a big way. Um, I think that men like us, it's going to become a little bit more difficult year after year after year to kind of be ambitious and be go-getters. As it feels to me like the window for like entrepreneurism, just going out there and getting after it is closing. But I would say there's some really cool developments as far as um, in the legal system. So getting into the legal system, like learning how money works, learning how credit works, and man, I'm following some people that are doing some pretty crazy stuff as far as like the consumer world goes, and just correcting their status. And that seems like the new Western front, like moving westward and like reestablishing our freedom. And that's what men are about, man. It's just like, hey, if somebody comes knocking on the door, I'm going to protect you. And it feels like we've been like frogs in a pot, and getting life is getting harder and less fun. And it's like, okay, what's going on here? Why is this happening? And I think it's high time for us to, kind of get on board with some of these people taking legal action and, reasserting our rights.
I hear you, and I definitely hear you with the frogs. I feel like there's this thing happening where, um, if there's any sign of masculinity, it's typically kind of put into the container of toxic masculinity, like it's kind of put
Mm.
into that regard, and I think that's just really damaging. I think that's just not good. I think, we need masculinity. Like it's really helpful, for society overall. And, I lived in the States for a long, long time, and I noticed that anytime that, you attempt to be masculine, like it kind of shut down. It's kind of shut down and like, hey, like no, like bring it back. And I think that that's quite damaging. Whereas this a lot of cultures, I would say this place where I'm living now, in Dominican Republic included, where it's on the other side of the spectrum where masculinity is expected, like masculinity is expected, but then there's also like the extreme of it where a lot of men are becoming incredibly aggressive and hurting women, and I think it's really crucial where we are now as a species to really lock down where um, that that middle ground is, where we can have both, without losing ourselves at the same time, where we can honor the masculinity, the testosterone in us, while at the same time, um, giving us the opportunity to be soft when it's appropriate, and when it's required. So it's really interesting to see, like being able to see both sides of things, and yeah, like it's exciting because I feel like we're in a place now where we can really, as a species and as humans, decide where we're going to go next. I don't think we're too late. I don't think we're too late. Alex, I see your hand is up. Welcome, Kenny. I see you, brother.
Yeah, welcome, Ken. We're talking about masculinity and like masculine roles in today's society. Um, so this is a really deep thread for me, gang. This is something that I've been really diving into, specifically with natural law, speaking on polarity and gender, male and female, positive and negative. And this has been a really deep thread for me. So I'll start and we'll unpack this together. First and foremost, I'm a firm believer in freedom, and I don't think that there's a better model out there than America. We really have an opportunity to be whatever we want to be. Okay. In that, though, I've noticed that with social media and everybody having a platform, I think it's easier than ever to be successful, but it's easier than ever to be distracted. And this is one of the reasons why a deep thread in my personal work with Twice as Fit is really helping people discover who they are and like keep the ball rolling on that. So personally, I find that there's certain things that men should be doing and there's certain things that women should be doing. And it's because there are innate gifts. And what I've noticed is that when people don't honor those things, whether they're consciously or unconsciously aware of it, it creates a lot of tension. Like, I'll give you an example. For me, like in the past, like my girlfriends, they've been very ambitious. They've had jobs, but they always let me be a man. Now my girlfriend now, she's really in the space of just wanting to be a feminine woman. And what I've noticed is that the dynamic that I had with my old girlfriends, who were a little bit more masculine, they took initiative, which I appreciated. You know, it was great to see them go out there and be go-getters. But I've noticed that with my girlfriend that I have now, what I noticed is that her focus on wanting to be feminine and me wanting to be masculine, I noticed that it's really given me a new sense of calm, and like it's really inspired me. And I realized that in my past relationships, there's a lot of tension. And again, that's for me because I have no interest in being a feminine man. Now, to deepen the thread a little bit, I think that we're coming to a time where it's very important for men to understand women and being able to tap into their feminine, hold space, not try to fix things, and really being able to sit with their emotions with them and not trying to solve problems. I think that that's a very important skill for men to be able to embody, to be in that more feminine space in a sense. In a way, it's still masculine because you're containing those emotions and helping her feel safe, but you're also able to relate to it, which is a little bit more feminine, at least in my experience. Now, with women, I think it's very important, as they are feminine, to be able to take on more of that masculine mindset, especially when they're talking to men sometimes, when men are just like hardlining, this is how it is, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and like women being able to be like, okay, I feel a certain way about that, and I may even be upset about that, but logically I understand that, and I'm not going to fight it. I'm going to actually be able to roll with those punches. So I see that we live in this time where men can still be men and women can be women, but understanding each other is going to help relieve a lot of tension. My personal belief, I think that the world would be a little bit more in harmony if women would actually accept that role of like being able to follow. Because the story is, oh, men are leading and they're controlling, and but what no one ever talks about is how fucking hard it is to actually follow properly. Like if you're thinking about dancing, like it is so hard to follow properly, and like I just want to give that its flowers. Like whether it's a man or a woman, being able to follow someone's lead, it's a very hard thing for people to do because we get in our head and we get egoistic and who is this person going to tell me what to do? So I see that we're in a time where it's really important that we can really understand the other sex and more importantly, understand where we are so that we can really work in harmony with that. Because what I've noticed is like me personally, like I don't mind, like I have some colleagues that are women and I love it. And they bring a dynamic that men don't. And I think that that's a really important dynamic to take into consideration. But what I noticed is that it completely changes the competition field. Like me personally, I really don't like competing with women because I don't like losing. And when I'm thinking about competition, I'm thinking about other men, and I'm like thinking about jujitsu, or I'm thinking about negotiation, or I'm thinking about like we're gonna fucking go at it, and like we're gonna really clash heads, but we're not fighting, but we're competing. I don't feel that urge with women. Like I don't like to do that with women. It makes me feel kind of yucky because I don't play to lose. I play to win. And so like for me personally, it kind of puts me into this weird dynamic where it's like I feel like I have to hold myself back, which is not good for me. But on the other side of it, when I'm able to hold back in those situations, I'm able to actually think about things a little bit differently and I'm able to flow and I'm able to see different perspectives. So sometimes it's very helpful. So those are some of the main thoughts that I've been really thinking about. Um, and it kind of hurts my heart to see that women have been fighting so hard for equality only to like be like men. Like, I don't think that that's what equality is. And I don't think that's what freedom is. And I think that they kind of bit off something that they really don't know what it is. And the example I always use, it's like if someone's coming into my home and like they're trying to rob me, like I'm gonna go out and deal with it. I don't want my girlfriend to deal with that. Like, not at all. Like, you're gonna fucking stay in here and you're gonna look after the kids and like you ain't going anywhere. And you're gonna wait for my signal that it's safe. I would never in a million years ever do that to my girlfriend. Ever. Not in a million years. Now, if she was Ronda Rousey, maybe I'd be like, all right, let's lock arms, you know what I mean? But like for the most part, like I think that men, yeah, yeah, she'll get the legs, I'll get the arms. Well, I'll let her lead on that. But but like I find that humanity does this really interesting thing of like making the exceptions to the rule, and then the rules we kind of just throw them out. And I find that it really brings a lot of tension in our body, whether we're aware of that tension or we're not aware of that tension. So those are some of my initial thoughts, and curious to hear if you guys what shows up for you guys in that, because I know I shared a lot. I shared a lot.
So, first thing that comes to mind, first of all, I don't agree. I might be biased. I don't agree with the fact that, well, what you said about America being the best place for freedom. I think right now that's been hijacked for the last few decades, especially when it comes to masculinity and being able to express it fully. And and specifically about freedom of speech. I find that it's really difficult. Like what the stuff that you shared right now, it's a lot of stuff that most men kind of feel. But if you were to be public about that, whether online or in person, you get canceled. Like you immediately be shut down in most situations, especially when it's situations that has women and men involved. Or if it's corporate or anything, like it's typically like frowned upon. So I definitely do disagree with you on that. I've been blessed to get to work with a lot of really powerful women in leadership, and I've noticed that you're 100% right about what it's required from both sides for men specifically to, lean into, that feminine side where when it's required so that we can better connect with women. And then also for women themselves, um, statistically, women they downplay their skills a lot. I get to teach this to women a lot where they put themselves in a position where they need to be perfect or do a certain number of things to be confident enough with the skill set and their ability to actually go for what they want. And uh, I that personally hurts my heart because I feel like if someone has potential to do amazing things, they should go for it, unapologetically and confidently. And a lot of women are not taught that way. They're typically punished when they do that, in the marketplace and families and all around. So I believe that makes it really challenging to really figure out how can we navigate this. And the way that the whole workforce is shifting, women are taking over sales. Like they're just getting better and better at it. And that's where the money's at. Women are getting better at, at doing a lot of a lot of stuff that has to do with leadership. And I also find that, a lot of the best women who are leaders, they also have um, a strong container from a strong man that actually allows them to really step into their leadership, that actually holds them up so that they can, step into their leadership. Um, so personally, although I agree with most of the things you shared, I also believe in outliers. I believe there's some people out there who are, um, different on both sides, and it's important that we create that space for both those people. There's men who are better nurturers than anything else, than they are protectors, and it's important to lean into what's natural for you. So I feel you. I just wanted to make sure that I emphasize the fact that the way that society is structured in a lot of the Western world is puts men in a position where they kind of have to become a feminine. Basically, the same thing that's happening in Japan, where men are not even dating anymore. Men are just staying home playing video games, and women are going out there and doing things. And I think that hurts society. I think weak men create weak systems that ultimately destroy our societies. So I definitely feel you on that. I also just wanted to make sure to emphasize that um, what's been happening and how the expectations that are allowed for men are really limited in a lot of the Western world. Whereas, a lot of my Latino places, Africa, the male role is more celebrated. You're allowed to really speak your mind and share what you want to share without a fear of repercussions. Like a lot, straight up, like if you were to go to most places and you share some of the stuff you shared about, women have to be, um, followers, just that you getting canceled, bro. In the States, you getting fucking canceled, bro. And that's crazy because in most cases that's pretty true. But I just wanted to highlight that because from my perspective, as someone who's dual resident and who's lived in two different countries my whole life for about the same amount of time, like I've noticed that big um, difference. So I just wanted to share that because that's what came up with me as I heard you speak. But I see Sean's hand is up. So go ahead, my brother.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I could. I got a few different lines of thought. Let me see if I could tie them together here. So, Alex, you mentioned that it's the easiest time to be successful, but it's the most difficult time for people that are easily distracted or something to that effect. And that's absolutely true. I have, I've got a lot of maleness to me. So there's a certain app that I cannot use. I cannot use Instagram. I found I can't. I will lose hours and hours on Instagram because girls are just putting it out there, and it's just like it's hard not to watch. Okay, it just is what it is. As far as you touched on something, Carlos, women in sales. So the oldest professional in the world is prostitution, and they're very good at selling. They're very good at selling because
Right.
what guy are you going to talk to? If I'm talking to a guy, I'm going to critique him way harder than I am, even if he's like the most handsome dude. Like I'm like, holy shit, this dude's fucking handsome as fuck. But if it's a woman and she's like some modicum of like putting herself together, I'm way more inclined to listen to what she has to say. Full stop. Like, and that goes for anybody, I would imagine. It's like, yeah, just like Alex said, I'm not going to go crushing this woman's skull and like battering her over the details. I'm going to be like, you're easy on the eyes and, you're okay to listen to. So, yeah, let's make a deal because, hey, this might happen more often, you know? And I feel like that branches out. That's not just me. I think I speak for a lot of guys, a lot of guys in that. The other thing, as far as the easiest time to be successful, easiest time to be distracted, visibility. There is so much visibility now across social media apps, dating apps, what have you, that it really is like I forget what the statistics are, but like the top 2% of dudes on these dating apps get 80% of the women. And then the 98% of the dudes get nothing. Why? Because they don't have the access. They don't have the access. But these guys that are like, just genetics or whatever it is, like they're 6'2", they're 200 pounds, like 10% body fat, and they play basketball, play football, they do this, they do that, and they get it all. How do we combat that? Like for guys that are without being like a tech bro and like you're getting a woman that's like kind of on the other side of her hoe phase or so on and so forth. It's like, okay, how do we get back to like the old Western sentimentalities where it's like, okay, like, yeah, the woman, it would be better for you to like have say don't I'm not saying this is true for every woman. Don't get me canceled, Carlos. Please don't post this anywhere. But
Hey, go on YouTube, bro. Speak your mind. It's all good.
but but I definitely believe just like me, I'm not I'm not super masculine. I tried my best like in the business field and I paid a lot and I failed miserably. All right. I'm just putting that out there. I'm not a good sailor. I'm not super like at it, like trying to kill other competition. I'm very much so like a coexisting kind of person. And there, it's not to say that that can't work in business. It's just when you're around other cutthroat people that don't want to work with other people, it's hard to find your niche and find your pocket where you could work with other people. Um, One last thought I wanted to touch on was in other countries where I feel like the media is kind of wrapped up here. It's kind of tight. There's narratives and then there's people that push the narratives and they have pretty strong control of it. Whereas in other countries, let's say the Dominican Republic, never been there, but these smaller countries where things are a little bit more or loose, let's say, um, the corporatization of things like I don't know if like a corporate structure would be more maternal or paternal, but I feel like it's more maternal where it's like, okay, everybody get along, everybody be okay. Whereas like if it was more, the patriarchy, it's like, yeah, guys, have at it. Like, hey, if you guys have a tussle, like you guys are arguing and you can't get over it, go out back, go handle it, come back in. There's a nurse, go see the nurse, get back to work. Like, so now, like, we have to kind of self censor in these corporate structures. Whereas in like, there's no big, huge, gigantic corporate, like, there's no Kroger. Kroger's not based in the Dominican Republic. There's no, gigantic, megalithic, thing in Dominican Republic. I feel like correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like it's a lot more sole proprietors, smaller businesses, so on and so forth that are afoot, kind of getting things done, and that just affords more freedom. When you get these big conglomerations, yeah, it's going to be very politically correct. So, okay, how do we combat that? I think it's through entrepreneurship. It's not taking the easy thing, building something and then selling it. It's like, no, dude, you built that thing, you stick with it. Like that's your heart. Like you put your heart in it, keep it in there. Make sure it doesn't lose its soul. Make sure it doesn't just go to this big megacorp that's just going to make it bastardize your whole vision. So that's kind of where I'm at, guys. On masculinity and where we stand.
Oh, I hear you, bro. And although I'm speaking about Dominican Republic, I want to highlight that what I'm sharing is something that I noticed throughout Latino culture. Like I have a lot of friends in Colombia. I have a lot of friends in Chile, Venezuela. My best friend's Mexican, like born out there and everything. So what I'm sharing it really is, I think it's a cultural thing, and I think you're right. I think it is. Um, there's so much political correctness that's blocking people from really speaking their mind, and I'd rather know what people are really thinking. I'd rather know what people are really thinking, just even if I don't agree with you, or just tell me the fucking truth. Go ahead, Alex. I see your hands up, my brother.
Yeah, these are great points. And Carlos, I 100% acknowledge what you're saying too. Um what I've the thing that really shows up for me strong is that this feminization of men. Um I notice that when men are men, things become orderly. And women don't do that. That's just not what they do. And I've just noticed that I know what I'm up against. Like thinking these things and actually knowing these things. I know exactly what I'm up to, and it's something that I'm dealing with every day. And I've just noticed that when men stand up and they're willing to get kicked in the mouth, because that's what's going to happen probably 1,000 times before it's actually heard, and we stick to the story and we stay calm and we demonstrate our danger, our competence, our strength in a safe way, things become orderly. And I really do see a time where women, they can join the workforce. They can work 70 hours a week. Most of them don't. That's mostly what men do. Let's just be honest. That's just what the statistics say. And even if women are in leadership roles, it's a different dynamic. And I encourage and I embrace that change because it was operating in a certain way and it wasn't working very well. So I see that. And I think that it's a good thing. But what I also know about human nature, which by the way, we're not going to change. We're not going to change our nature. Like, yeah, that's not happening. Um, I've just noticed that when men stand up and say, enough is enough, I'm not standing up to combat anybody, even though I know I'm going to get kicked in the mouth. Eventually people will start to listen and things will become orderly and people will wake up, if you will. And I experienced this personally in 2020. It was really interesting because where I lived during the time, it was you better mask up, you better keep 6 feet. If you don't do this, you're pretty much Satan embodied. And um and it was a really, really hard pill to swallow because I'm not following that. I'm not following your lead on that. I'm not going off that cliff. And what I noticed is maybe one in about 75 people would actually start listening to me. So I realize what I'm up against, and I realize that really what I'm up against most of the time is emotional reactions and also fight or flight response. And those are very hard to get past, and it's very hard to keep getting kicked in the mouth. But I think that that's one of the honors and prides of being a man is being able to stand up and, being able to get kicked in the mouth 1,000 times and being okay with it. And it doesn't actually hurt you because you've prepared to that level. So call me an outlier, maybe. Um, I could definitely see that that's the case, especially where I live. But also, I sense that it's really interesting because when I have these conversations with women one to one, there's a lot of resistance at first. But then, like, as I'm just like calm and I'm talking about it, and I let them know, like, yo, like, I'm not here to suppress you. I'm not here to enslave you. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm telling you what my experience is. And with this experience, what I've noticed is, especially women, they're fucking amazing at this. If when I demonstrate calmness and I demonstrate like that I'm hearing them, like actually hearing them, and then I just share my like what I'm going through and I'm sharing from my heart, I've noticed that most women actually agree with me. And the ones that don't, that's okay too. But so it's an interesting slippery slope, and that's why I'm glad I get to talk this out with you guys because I noticed that there's a lot of cognitive dissonance when it comes to these things, and it's like people want their cake and they want to eat it too. They want this, but they also want that, and like life just doesn't really work like that mostly. So I think personally, it comes down to the individual, and people knowing themselves. And and I think that we're living in a very interesting time, and these are interesting problems to have. It's better than going to war with people and, murder and killing people and all that stuff. I'd rather use my tongue and I'd rather talk things out. And if you agree, cool. If you don't, that's cool too. I actually appreciate conversations where there's discourse because then I get to see my blind spots and I get to see how, like, huh, maybe I can think about this a little bit differently, or, I can accept a different perspective so that I have a more broad perspective, so I can be more compassionate and I can connect with people on a deeper level, without all the fighting and all the resistance.
I definitely hear you, bro. And that's honestly why I brought up the difference that I noticed between the cultures. Because I lived in the States for most, like, actually my whole adult life. I noticed that there's a lot more resistance when having those conversations with women in the States as in contrast as to when I'm having that conversation with Latino women, like or even women in different in other cultures that are a little bit more um, uh, I don't even know what word I would use, but um, it really when I'm here specifically, or when I'm talking to a lot of more, I guess, traditional women, I guess is the word that most people would use. It's it's a lot less combativeness. Like there's not so much of a fight happening. Whereas when I find myself in the States, it could be in the East Coast, West Coast, I could be in Colorado, it doesn't matter. There's this fight that happens. And I just find it really draining. I find it really draining, and it's low key sad to me. Like it's low key sad that we just can't, like, not can't, but it's more difficult to have these conversations. Like you said, you gotta have to talk to like 75 people to really, nail down one person, and the other 74, you gotta have to like really, like go deep in order for a constructive conversation to arise. And when we're talking about sets and different, roles in society for the different sexes. So it's really interesting to me, and honestly, like seeing what's possible, and at least from my Latino countries, gives me hope because I know that's something that we can shift and we can improve on. Um, I'm well aware of the entire educational complex in the United States and Europe, even in Canada, where masculinity is kind of like suppressed and punished. Like it's really suppressed and punished. And when you're punished behaviorally, you stop doing the behaviors, you stop trying to have the conversations because it hurts you. And we need to have these conversations. It's really important for us to have these conversations. So I look forward to having more of that because when I see places like Japan and who are really ahead in that regard, it's concerning to me. It's concerning to me to see what's happening and birth rates going down, men being isolated more. Like Sean was talking about, like very small percentage of men actually have access to the women, and the rest are just depressed, probably going to get a sex robot in the next 5, 10 years, in the next 1 to 3 years, and just play video games all day. Um, and to me, like that's heartbreaking. Because for me personally, like I feel bad because I when I do really well on the dating apps, like women, call me out on the street. Like it's really it's something that I know most men don't experience, and that's something that I spoke to my friend Dr. Carlos about, how most men don't get to experience that, and I get why they're just like, fuck it, bro. I'm just gonna get a sex robot. I'm just gonna get a sex robot and play video games. So I get it, but I also think that's a really dangerous path for us to go down, because we do need to reproduce as a species. Otherwise, the species dies out. And like I pulled it out before even the call started because I figured kind of go on this route. But there's this episode. You guys ever watched like Rick and Morty? I love it. Okay, so you guys get me. So there's this episode, and I'll share my screen real quick for so you guys can see. Um, you might have to give me, yeah, access, where there's like this world where kind of women run the world, and when I think of a lot of the women in Western society, this is kind of what I imagine they want to build. Like, it's pretty sad. It's pretty sad. Let me see. Okay, I can share my screen now. Whereas I love it here where I've seen women like yell at other women respectfully about them not serving the men like a plate or cleaning up after them and stuff like that, and not like as like, oh, this is your duty or everything, but like that as a kindness, as a service. And it there's no like tension. It's really nice. It's just smooth. But I was just think of this clip, so I'm just gonna play this real quick. I don't know. I actually might have to share this again because I know soon you have to click the little share sound button. Let me see. Okay. Should be good now. Let me know if you guys can hear.
Scoot, Summer.
Don't you need
You guys good? Okay.
a new companion?
I don't do adventures with chicks.
Because there's something about having a wiener that would make me better at walking through a hole?
Oh, crap.
Help!
Still think it's a good idea to go through holes without a wiener?
I want to go home!
Yeah, no duh. Oh! Now I have to take over a whole planet because of your stupid boobs. Thanks, dum-dum. I said thanks, dum-dum.
What's the deal with this place? Why is it such a sausage planet?
Summer, grab hold. Nice racket you got going on here. Don't mean you any harm.
Silence! Your slave is ill-mannered. If he is a rogue male, tell us now, and we will kill him.
He's my slave.
Oh!
I am Marsha.
What is this place?
Paradise. The females are placed into educational programs. Males, they get to play outside.
One of the most aggressively violent creatures in the universe.
Wait a minute, we're here because a male Gazorpian was born on a...
You speak when you're spoken to, Dingaling. One of your babies was born on Earth.
Are you the ruler?
How did you know?
The quality of your top?
This place is the worst. I want to go home.
Well, it really doesn't matter what you want, because this is a sane place where women rule.
Yeah, you know what I have to say about that?
Grandpa!
Grandpa? Then this one is not your slave, and your Earth is yet another planet dominated by men.
On Earth, men and women are equals.
We make 70% of your salary for the same job.
Whoa, is this really the time to make that point, Summer?
What are you in for?
Because I got a big, penis between my legs.
Rick and Summer of Earth, you are hereby sentenced to...
What, a night on the couch?
death.
Ooh, Gerp?
I hate you so much right now.
We placed a large boulder.
You're gonna crush us with a boulder?
No, stop interrupting.
Just give me a gun, I'll kill myself.
Stop interrupting!
I wish I could have been a better grandpa to you.
My top! The same top you complimented earlier. Look at the tag.
Mark Jacobs. Mark, these are names of the penis.
Yes, a certain percentage of our males are born gay, which is why my clothes are better than all of yours. And if you think my top is cute, you cannot execute.
Give the Earth people a spacecraft so they may head back to their weird planet, where women are kind of equal, but not really.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Yeah, so that comes up to mind because I get to work with a lot of really powerful women in leadership, and some of them are very much single, and they kind of want to create this world where, like, men are shit, like it's all of this stuff, and I just always think of this clip. I just always think of this clip. I'm like, damn, like that, we can't do that. Like, we can't just let them give us some sex dolls and like rule the world. It's just, it don't work. It don't work. Yeah. So I figured I wrap up things with a little giggle. Again, I just wanna throw a disclaimer out there. I love women, and I really do think that women are really powerful. I just think that there's definitely a better way for us to approach how we move forward for both women and men, so that we both can really serve the roles that we're put on this planet to serve, and feel whole and complete rather than kind of fighting each other and most importantly, fighting with ourselves. So I just wanted to put that out there because there's a lot of separation happening and a lot of that like where we just watch like where there's like massive spaces where men are just talking shit about women and women are talking shit about men, and I don't think that helps us. I think more conversation, more inclusion, that's where the magic happens, and that's why I really love what's happening in the love language countries. I would say like a lot of the love language countries like Italy, Portugal, Brazil, Latin America, there's a lot more of that conversation happening freely, where we can talk about these things and collaborate in ways that are natural without it being like a war between sexes, because that's not the wave. Go ahead, Alex.
It's been my experience too where people do enough of their own work. Um, there's these truths out there that we're bound to, and they're immutable, and we can't change them, and they have nothing to do with what humans think or believe. And I just noticed that personally when I dive deeper into myself and I do more of my work, I just recognize that my roles and how I express them feel a lot more natural. And also, thank God for this, I find myself connecting with the right people, and I'm able to make that distinction. Because I'm with you, man. Like I see us being able to collaborate and harmonize because, as I always say, my funny joke is that if there's only men on this planet, we just fight and duke it out and drink beers and like that's fucking it. And if women, they just have like their chat circles and they chat and nothing would get done. So I always laugh because it's just like we're so much better together. And I think that and what I know is like when I'm willing to be myself, but also be respectful of other people, that's where all the magic happens for me. And for me, being a man and someone who does identify as a masculine man, when I'm able to do that, true masculinity, like we've been talking about for the past year and a half, like real strength is gentle, and there's nothing more gentle than real strength when I don't have to prove myself and I don't have to be all competitive and like I'll do that with my homies. Like that's cool. Like and we're all good with that. But when it comes to with women, like I'm not trying to do that. I want to be a safe person and I want people to recognize that they can talk about these things and I just noticed that we take on so much that's not us. It's just not us. We think it's what we are, but it's really just not us. And I've definitely fallen into that trap more times than I can count. And as I do my work and as I sit with myself and I listen to God and I listen to my heart, I realize that most things fall into place and I find myself connecting with the people I'm supposed to. And all the people who want to give me a lot of resistance and stuff, like, not a problem. I'm not going to take that on. And you're right. I understand why you're saying this. And like, I'm here if you want to talk about it. Like, that's my attitude about it. And I'd be happy to dive deeper if you desire to do that.
Love that, brother. I love that. Go ahead, Sean. I see your hands up, King.
Yeah. So me and Alex, we've talked about this before, and working on our strengths, working with our strengths, recognizing where we are weak, and fixing our faults. So Alex, you could correct me if I'm wrong, Alex. Just reiterate it exactly as you reiterate it. But you have I've taken you on record as saying fix your weaknesses, and I feel like this conversation is a perfect example of where we should recognize where our weaknesses are and recognize where other people are strong in our weaknesses. And that's where we play a part. That's when we collaborate. Because when we try to fix our weaknesses and get strong across the board, it's like it's too many balls to juggle. It's like you're just like this circus act over there that's like mediocre. It's like, no, like find your best quality and find the other person that has that other, matching jigsaw piece and play the game together. And obviously there's faults. And I would say faults is not recognizing those types of things, not recognizing, hey, women are very good at these certain types of things. Men are very good at certain types of things. And when we play against each other and see those as wrong, yeah, of course they're not going to succeed. Of course we're going to be in. I'm going to be over here. You're going to be over there, and we're going to be pointing at each other, saying da 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 da, rather than saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to handle this. Let's just communicate. Let's just see it for how it is. I'm good at this. You're good at that. Let's just divvy it up. Let's play this game together. Let's make the world better in this way.
Love, yeah, yeah, cooking, yeah, cooking. And since Alex is getting canceled because of this call for sure, I'll get canceled. I'll get canceled too. But just to touch on what both of you guys are saying, like it's so important to do your own shadow work, to do your own work, really figure out where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, and really lean into that. Um, Again, like I'm gonna get canceled for this, at least in the States. I'm not here. I can say that shit out loud. But but something that I, I really believe, just based on the data, is that a lot of people who are transsexual, they're really just haven't done their work. I believe like once you really get into your inner work and you really discover your own nature, it's a lot easier for you to love yourself. It's a lot easier for you to love what God created, and it makes it a lot easier for you to really step into, who you are. Um, do I believe there's people who are gay and bisexual and all that stuff? 100%. Like I have friends who are, and I really do think that's their identity. But I'm talking specifically about trans people. One of the reasons that I believe they have the highest suicide rates is because they go through this massive shift. They do all of these things, and then they're like, oh fuck, I'm still sad and hate myself. And these are conversations that I've had with really good friends of mine who are gay, and they agree with me. The fact that you look in the mirror and you hate what you see, that says a lot. That says a lot. The whole thing that's happening in the States where they're allowing the trans movement and normalizing it, I think it's really damaging. I just wanted to make sure I threw that out. I know we don't have enough time to dive deeper into that. Just wanted to throw it out there because I don't want Alex to be canceled alone. So I got you, bro. I get canceled right alongside you, bro. I've gotten a lot of heat for this perspective, and I stand by it. Maybe there are some outliers who are true trans people, I don't argue that, but I think that what we're seeing in all of the Western world it's extremism. Like they're pushing it further than what true nature is like. So just wanted to put that out there. I didn't want to see my guy go out alone, so I got you, bro. I got you.
The young kings of the canceled corner.
No, it's interesting too, guys, because I think that truths hold true, and for me, whenever a lot of people are reacting to something and people are telling me what to believe and what to think, and what I need to say, um, what I do is I do my best to stay calm and I do my best to stay the course, because what I've noticed is a lot of these things fall off, and I noticed that mainstream culture, like it highlights something. And I think honestly, like I think it comes from a good place at first. Like, like people who have been disenfranchised, like the gay community or even the trans community, like I know where that's coming from, where it's like, hey, these people have experienced like suppression and we don't want them to experience that anymore. But then like there's all these other people who are confused and don't know who they are, and they jump on the bandwagon because it's the cool thing to do, only to realize later, like, this is not me. This never was me, and I'm just confused and I'm trying to figure it out. And now I've made choices that are going to impact me for the rest of my life. And like, I literally can't undo those anymore. So,
Your dick is already
um,
cut off. I'm sorry.
well, yeah. And like I've heard a lot of even trans people come out and say like how like they don't like that community because again like it's this bandwagon and the people who don't know who they are, which I get it. Like guys, like we all grew up in this society, we all get into these bodies and like we don't know who we are. And like it's like this moving thing and like when we define it it changes and like it's this interesting cat and mouse game in a sense and it's like and like they're I know the agenda of the people who are trying to promote these surgeries. Like they don't care about any of that. They just care about making the money and then when the data speaks, it's just like it's just not good for most people because it's not most people. And so I want to really honor and respect those outliers. As someone who's an outlier myself, I was adopted, and just by statistics, most people are not adopted. So like I get that. I get that. But like we really can't get lost in the sauce because then we end up reacting and we're not thinking and we're not making real choices. We're doing things because we think it's the right thing to do, and other people are telling us it's the right thing to do. And that's where things get very dangerous, very dicey, and that's where like agendas become very, very dark. And that's and I just keep thinking my visionary keeps thinking down the line. It's like if you're going through this like pretty drastic surgery, like are you thinking 20 years down the line? And not even about becoming a man or a woman, but like, are you thinking about the health implications? Like doing something like that to yourself? Like, and I would say, and I would assert that they're not thinking about it. It's a very reactionary thing. It's all emotional and it has no logic and it has no thinking involved. Like they're not sitting with themselves. So it goes back to the distraction. People are so distracted. And that's why personally, every day, whether it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's a few hours, I sit with myself. No music, no nothing. And I'm just with myself, taking my walk, sitting in meditation, writing. And like, and that's when I really start to discover and get glimpses of like who I am. Because I think at best, like, we're never going to completely define ourselves. I don't think that that's the point of life. I don't think that that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to work with these moving pieces and align ourselves to our environment so that we can be the best impact. And as Sean, as you said, show up with our skills, find where some of our weaknesses and defaults are, and connect with people who can actually collaborate with us and help us develop, and we can help them develop as well too.
I love it. And Ken, before I let you go, I just want to keep this pretty light. I always think of because this is a heavy conversation, so I want to make sure we keep it light. But as I hear you talk, I always think of this meme I saw of this guy, like he woke up, like basically in a nursery home, like he had Alzheimer's, and he like woke up and he's like, "Where's my dick?" It's like, "Oh shit!" And I just trying to throw that out there, because that's terrifying. That's just terrifying. Or vice versa, women, like, "Where my tits at?" Where they go? And you don't know what happened. Like it's been 30 years. Uh, go, go ahead, Ken. Go ahead.
I just want to bring up a point that Alex mentioned earlier in the conversation, and then it also ties in with what he's saying now. And in my mind, like what came to me is there's a huge difference between seeking freedom. So, like what Alex mentioned prior, is women, and this comes from of absolute respect, love, admiration. Women in wanting to, there's a difference between seeking to not be oppressed, right? That's one, seeking freedom, and then wanting something that they don't have. And I think those are three very clear distinctions where it's like women, it's a very feminine trait to compare. It's a big thing. Like, well, she's got this and she's got that, and then men do it too. But women are definitely like very. They like to argue of like who's got it better. And so I think that it went from we don't have certain rights, we don't have voice, we don't get to do the things that we feel that we should be able to. That's it started that way. And then it became, oh, I want what you have. I want to be able to do the things that you do. And it's like that's a very different conversation to be having. And far beyond that is to be empowered. To say, okay, now I'm in charge and you're subjugated to me. And I feel like with the trans community, that's a big issue that has come up recently where it's like, it's obviously wrong to ostracize people. It's obviously wrong to treat them like they're less human. It's obviously wrong to, you know, single them out and make them seem like they're freaks. Like, that's wrong. That's option. We should try to seek it, just allow for freedom, whether that woman, trans, men, be free, do what you gotta do. But we take it to the whole nother level and let's empower these people. Let's empower the community. Let's make sure that they're really taken care of. And it's like they would have taken care of if you just you know, don't point them out, don't single them out and make them a problem. But at the same time, don't make them like the direction that cause almost like how we're going is like this is a direction that we're moving in. Embrace this ideology because this is where we're going. And it's like, oh, I don't know. At least I'm not going that way. I'm good where I'm at. And you know, all of a sudden the tables are in. I feel like I'm the one that's oppressed. Now, it's like, well, I like what you're saying was I can't speak mind. I can't have an opinion because it's like to what Charles is saying. These corporations have dominated the ideology basically where it's like, hey, you better be nice or else you're going to time out. And it's like you're playing with my salary. Yeah, obviously I'm going to play the rules because you basically like there's laws and then there's like the societal culture. And I feel like corporations are definitely taking over the culture where it's like, that's not nice. Don't do that. It's this way. And if you don't, well, then you're out. And it's like, okay, but kind of if we looked at it the opposite way, these are opposite ends, extremes of a spectrum. Because going to, you said, Carlos, with the Latin culture, like, then you end up with situations of overpowering and, you know, justifying femicide, things like that, rape, things like that, where, well, I get to do what I want because what are you going to do about it? And, like, that's wrong too. But we kind of brought it back a little more toward the masculine side in shifting these corporations from matriarchies to patriarchies. Now it's that petition that Alex was talking about. Who's the better the job? Who's gonna get the job done? Like, you know, the quickest, the best, for the least amount of money. Like that's competition. That's what that's about. Whereas if we're all seeking equality and equal rights for everybody, it's like, well, then we'll get to do the thing. And that's what the biggest problem is generally is in these big companies is like, well, why I have to do this? They do that. And it's just this back and forth of like, instead of doing more than each other, we're doing less than each other. It's like, well, he doesn't do that, so I'm not doing that, and that's not my job. It's just worse and worse. And yeah, we're being nice, yeah, we're being civil to each other, but work's not done. So like, what are we actually accomplishing?
Oh, we definitely all canceled after this one. Um, we definitely all canceled. Well, I thought it was just me and Alex. Alex, we're not alone in this, bro. We getting canceled. No, I love it, bro. I love it, and I love how we're all really speaking our truths. And like, this is why we have these conversations. I think it's really important to have these conversations. It's so important to have this space where we can speak freely without the fear that, like, these big corporations are going to cancel us or whatever. Like, we can just share what's really on our hearts so that we can really, understand what's really happening inside of men right now. Like, that's why I'm talking about the future of men, because it's important. Um, yeah. It's important for us to talk about what's going on, because so many men are silenced, or even worse, they're repressing and suppressing their thoughts and feelings and what's really happening inside. And I think true resolution happens when we can vocalize what we're feeling and where we are, and that's where we can really come to agreements. That's where we can really come to be diplomatic and come up with solutions that serve everybody. So I appreciate y'all, being willing to get on here and get canceled with me. This is wonderful. Y'all real. Alex, I see your hand is up. Like, we're already past the hour, so as we wrap up, I just want to share that because I appreciate you guys for being on. Go ahead, Alex.
Well, and the last thing I'll point to, which is kind of what we've all been kind of dancing around, is that without discourse, we're all enslaved. And there is a very much you can't be in discourse, you can't disagree with me in America. It's very much going on, and I think that I see people trying to figure things out. Um, and I really do see a day where people can really recognize that, whether it's just a few individuals or everybody. But that's why I do stand firm that although there's a lot of nonsense going on in America, freedom comes at a cost. And I think that that's something that people don't realize. They think like, "Oh, I'm free, everything's going to be good." It's like, no, that the truth and freedom is it needs to be defended and protected, and it can't defend or protect itself. That's why we need to speak, and that's why discourse, the First Amendment, it's the First Amendment, because we look at all the tyrannical dictatorships and all the authoritarianism regimes that have happened throughout history, and like that was a common thing. It's like, no, you can't speak this. And what happens? Exactly what you're talking about. People get suppressed and people uprise, and then there's a lot of violence and a lot of blood, and usually it's a lot of innocent people. So for me, that's why I'll continue to share discourse, and I'll do it in a calm way. One of my favorite peoples is Jordan Peterson, and who does that, and that's why also I train in jujitsu and I practice being dangerous. Because I know that there's people out there who not only disagree with me, but they hate me. They hate me for it, and we saw it last year with Charlie Kirk. Love the guy or hate the guy, he was promoting discourse. You don't have to agree with everything he says. You don't have to disagree with everything he says, but discourse, because it forces us to look at ourselves and it forces us to think about our opinions and our beliefs. And there's a lot of people who don't like that. So for me, I'm gonna be a space for that, and I'm gonna keep showing up in a good way in that, because without it, like the truth can't defend itself. That's not how it works. We have to defend and protect the truth at all costs, at all costs.
Love it, bro. I agree 100%. I agree 100%. Well, I appreciate you, Kings. I am going to wrap up the call because I know we could keep cooking for a lot longer. I think we do this every week. But I appreciate y'all. And yeah, like, this has been a powerful, powerful call. And um, next week, same time, same place. You already know the vibes. We have the men's mastermind coming up soon as well. So let's make sure we tap in for that. And yeah, like, I appreciate y'all. Stay blessed, stay tapped in, and let's keep doing this work. So at the end of the day, the world needs it.
Oh yeah.
Thanks, Kings. Have a great
Thank you
night.
guys. Thank you guys. Hey, get your passports, guys. Hit the gym. Get your passports. Passport bros.
You already know. You already know. Let's say Colombia. Wait, who said that?
Thank you guys. Have a good night.